Hello, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Today is August 12th, 2022. I don't know if you guys have heard about Carolyn Bryant, the lady that was accused of the Emmett Till murder that happened back in I pulled it up here on my other phone here. 14-year-old Emmett Till. 70 years ago that this happened. Back then, when this happened, he was accused of making advances at her, Carolyn Bryant, and he was visiting from Chicago. He was accused of making advances towards her, and as a result, they murdered him. They murdered him, and it was a brutal murder. I mean, he was only 40. He was only 14 years old at the time. It was a very, very brutal murder. If they found him in a lake and stuff like that. But what happened was when they, back in those days, it was a lot of racism back in those days. Back in the South. And if a black person got murdered back then, you know, they basically got away with it. And so her husband and his cousin at the time, when they did take it to court, and they basically told her to lie and say that he was making advances at her and he wasn't making advances at her, and that they basically told her to lie. She basically lied about the situation, and because she lied, they murdered him. And anyway, they found a filmmaker, someone I guess that was doing a documentary, was going through old court records, and they found an unissued warrant towards Carolyn Bryant. And this warrant was dated to August the 29th, 1955. They claimed that they didn't they didn't arrest her at the time because she couldn't be located. Now, this happened in a little bitty tiny town. This happened in a little bitty itsy bitsy tiny town, but she couldn't be located. Now, they wasn't doing nothing but lying. I think it's really interesting after all these years they find this warrant. And so they took it before. Of course, she's really old. I guess she's got. I think they said she's got some health issues and she has cancer and she's in hospice care right now. So I can't see what to say because trying to look at this article. Let me see if it says how old she is. Well, this happened 70 years. You figure 70 years ago, she got to be in her 90s. Because that first husband died, and she remarried. Carolyn Bryant Donham, I guess that's her. Yeah, because I think she remarried and got a second husband. But let's just say she was 20 years old at the time when this happened. But they took him from his bed in the middle of the night, and that was his mother's only son. That was her only son, and so just imagine the grief that his mother had to endure all those years, and not getting. Just imagine not getting any justice, and I know I did a video talking about the movie. There was like a little movie done on it. I thought that was really well made, but they're supposed to be having another film. Another film is supposed to be coming out about that. Um, and of course, her husband and a cousin, or his cousin, or I guess his cousin, they got acquitted. They got acquitted for the murder back then. They let him off the hook, and they let him off the hook, and they found that. Excuse me, I'm just trying to look up this information. They found that they said they could not prove that she had lied on here. When questioned directly, Brian Dunham admittedly denied to investigators that she had recanted her testimony. Ain't that about nothing? So they said that they couldn't prove that she had lied. But I thought a few years back they said that she actually came forth and said that she admitted that she had lied. That a few years back, then they said she actually admitted that she had lied about the situation. But now they're saying here that she denied it, and they're trying to say that they couldn't prove that she lied in the situation. It's a shame. The truth remains is they do not want to bring her to justice because she's old and she's sickly, and they don't want to bring her to justice because of her age and her health conditions. They don't want to bring her to justice. That's what it all boils down to. But my thought is this: they didn't seem to have a problem with Bill Cosby. They didn't seem to have a problem with bringing him to justice. They didn't have a problem with bringing Bill Cosby to justice. They didn't care what Bill Cosby was blind because of something that he allegedly did 30 years ago with various women. He was blind and stuff too, but they didn't have a problem with holding him accountable and bringing him to justice. You see the difference? You see the difference? I just think that's. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's a bunch of BS. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't. I don't. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all. And the mere fact that she's not going to be held accountable for this, well, we knew, we pretty much knew. At the same time, I'm not really surprised. I kind of figured they was going to let her off the hook, you know. Um, yeah, something that happened that long ago. That was a lot of black people were getting, hung and lynched and things like that back then, and white people was getting away with it. They was getting away with it, and they let her husband and the other man off the hook. She lied, and they didn't. They had an arrest warrant for swept. They literally swept it under the carpet. They swept it under the carpet, and now they're trying to say they can't prove she lied. Come on now. 14. She was responsible because of her life for the murder of this 14-year-old boy. He was his mother's only son. Just imagine, I can't imagine the pain, and she told him leave that casket open. They was gonna sweep it under the carpet. They didn't even want to, she had to go through some changes to get the body back to Chicago because he was from Chicago. She had to go through some changes to get the body back up to Chicago because they was gonna bury it. They was gonna bury him down there and everything, and act like they was gonna try to play it off and act like, they didn't know what happened to him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so she had to pull some strings and really go through some changes to get his body shipped back from Mississippi to Chicago, Illinois. And she told him, "I'll leave that casket open because I want the world to see what they did to him." And I tell you, it was historical. But I mean, the fact that you know, because I'm sure that he has members of his family that are still living, and because his mother, she's passed away, and I'm sure that he has members of his family that's still living that would like to see justice, and they're not going to get it. So I mean, we all pretty much knew that was going to happen. We all pretty much knew that they weren't going to bring her to justice. Um, I tell you, there's no justice in this world for black people. It's just there's no justice. There's just no justice. You know, you just think of how many other black people that was murdered and are still being murdered, and they're not bringing them the people that did it to justice. That the fact that we and this still happens today. This stuff still happens. A black person will turn up uh, hanged, and then they'll try to say that, oh, they committed suicide. Black people don't commit suicide that way. Black people don't hang themselves. Come on, who does that? And that's they'll blame it on suicide and try to sweep it under the carpet. So I mean, the fact that that can still happen. That can still happen in 2022. That a black person can get murdered, and a lot of states have your stay in your ground laws, and they sweep it under the carpet. Oh, well, self-defense. They'll dismiss it. Make 50 million excuses. A cop can kill a unarmed black man, and literally get away with it. And the only reason, in the George Floyd situation, the only reason why he didn't get away with it is because, well, people were protesting all over the country, and the cities were getting torn up and stuff like that. They had to do something. They had to do something, because there was a lot of uproar surrounding that. Otherwise, they probably would have let him off the hook. They would have let him off the hook. It's so many other cases that we don't even know about, police shootings and brutality, that they sweep it under the carpet. That's just one well-known case. You know, uh, some of them make nationwide news, but then think about all the other cases that we don't even hear about. That's swept under the carpet. Like I say, they throw us a bone every now and then. They'll throw us a bone every now and then and hold a police officer accountable. But it's rare that it happens. And the fact that we have to uh, live with the fact uh, that our people still don't have we don't have any justice. There's no justice for black people. That we getting our loved one can get murdered, and it can be swept under the carpet. It's like a lottery. It's a certain percentage of a chance that that person will be brought to justice. But it's really sad that this is the country that we living in. That this is the world that we living in. Because racism is worldwide. It's worldwide. It's not just in the United States. So I mean, this is sad that this is the system that we're living in now. And that in the year 2022, you would think that things would be different, but it's not. So I just really feel bad. I really feel it's sad that his remaining relatives, living relatives, will not get justice, and that his mother. It's sad that she didn't get justice while she was still living. But you know what? There's God's justice. If you escape man's justice, that's one thing, but you will never escape God's justice. That's the flip side of all this. You will never, ever, ever escape God's justice. You will never escape his justice. So, yeah, you may escape man's justice. That's the way we got to look at it. She escaping man's justice. She won't be escaping God's justice. Because what she did is in God's memory. So there's man's justice, then there's God's justice. And she is not going to escape God's justice. So that's the way we got to look at it. In this system, we don't have justice. We're not going to have justice in this system. But there's God's justice. That's what we have to look at. And you will not escape God's justice. I don't care who you are. You are not going to escape God's justice. So she ain't getting away with nothing. Because she's gonna be brought to justice in a much higher court. A much higher court. And that's God, Jehovah God's court. So yeah. So she's not gonna get away with it. Because God will hold her accountable for it. So let me know if you heard about that story. You heard about that, not bringing her to justice. And let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on that. And go ahead and like this video if you thumbs it up, and share, and subscribe, notification bell. And until the next video, be blessed.